We're back again here with Google Sheets. This is 102. So you may have watched 101, had some information, maybe you picked something up, and you want to get some more advanced techniques. That's what this is going to be for. As usual, if you need help, contact me. Information's below. Let's go ahead and get started. So let's say you have a sheet made and you have a bunch of data in it. So here I have a student name, I have their grade level, ID, address, phone number, period, whether or not they ride the bus, and a bunch of test scores, and then some random data I don't need. And then you want to do some different things with that. Well, the first thing that might be useful, if I'm down here looking, I'm probably going to know this is a phone number, this is an address, but if I get over here, like, what is this for? So the first thing is to freeze cells. So if you grab this, you can drag it wherever you like it, and I'm going to drag this one to do columns, and now that keeps wherever I put that bar in there. So now if I come over here, I can see, here's the student, here's their score on which test. So the first thing is freezing rows and columns, and again, you just drag these gray lines around to lock that in place wherever you like it. Next is sorting. So we talked about sorting a little bit the last time, but just to review, if you click on a column and you go to data and you hit sort, and then you can sort from A to Z or Z to A, and it will sort that by that column. So that's really easy when you just have one. But let's say you want to do everything in here. So first you're going to select the entire sheet that you're working on by clicking up here in this box, and you can see it highlights everything when you click on that. And then you're going to go up to data and sort sheet range and go to advanced, and now you can go in here and sort this by, and yes, we have a header row, and then you can go in here and sort this by whatever you like. So let's say I want to sort by grade level, and then I'm going to add another one, and then I want to sort it by their score on test 1, and I hit sort, and now things are sorted. So here's the 9th graders, and then it is sorted from, in this case, lowest to highest. Let's say I didn't want that. Again, I could go up here to data, sort, advanced sort, has a header row, and so I want grade level, and then I want score 1, but I want to go from highest to lowest. And there, now we can see. So now I can look and identify students by grade that they did on this particular exam, and who did best to worst, or see where the students I need to focus on or who I need to push. Another thing that might be useful at this time would be talk about splitting this. So let's say we decide, actually we need them to be first last sorted. So I'm going to pull my freeze out of the way. What we'll do is we'll insert a column. Now this is going to do something real funny here because they have multiple names. So I'm going to insert 2 columns. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to go up to data, and then I'm going to go to split text to columns, and it's going to ask how I want to do that, and I'm going to say I want you to do that by space, and I hit enter, and there it does it. Now see, here's what I was talking about. So it kind of took this middle name that a couple students had in there for whatever reason, or a nickname, and I'm going to fix those, and I'm going to move this over, and I'm going to move this over, and then I don't need this column anymore, so I'm going to delete it. And now I have first name, last name, really easy, and you can sort by either one of those at that point. Now this is not a very big data sheet, but let's say I wanted to just look at maybe the 10th graders. So what I'm going to do is go up here and click on the filter, and it's going to add these little filter tabs in here. So then I can come in here and say I just want to look at the 10th graders, and I hit OK, and now it's just going to give me all the 10th graders, and I can look at information about them. If I ever don't want the filter anymore, I can hit remove. It's going to go back to what I had. If I want to be more specific, it's telling me, hey, good job, you did something. Maybe I'm going to come in here and say filter to just my 10th graders. And then I'm going to come to this and I'm going to say filter by condition. And I want everyone that is less than a 75. And now I have, Scott Summers is my only 10th grade student who scored less than a 75 on the first assessment. And that way I can identify students quickly in a data sheet. Again, on a sheet this small, that maybe not as relevant, but if you have all the students in a grade or in the school, that can be very helpful. So I'm going to go back here and go to none. I don't want any filtering, and it'll give me all of my data back. Next is maybe I want to, we talked a little bit about formulas before, but maybe I want to average up these scores. So you hit equals. That's how you start any kind of formula. And you start typing it, it's going to bring it up. So I'm going to go average. I'm going to select the areas I want and hit enter. And now it gives me an average. It asks me, do I want to autofill this in? If I click this check, it's going to autofill those in. Let's say I forget to do that. I can come in here and double tap this blue box. Everybody see that? So I can hover over this little blue box that's in the corner, double click it, and it's going to copy that formula down through here. There's also the old-fashioned way, which is to click that box and hold it and drag, and I can fill it. Now once I do that, I can go up here and manipulate, like if I'm like, oh, that's ugly, and I can get how many decimal points I want to look at there and make that a little cleaner. So I'll say average. And then the last thing I want to look right here is a trend line. This is kind of a neat thing. It's just a little thing that this can do. So you're going to type in equals to start a formula, and then you're going to go to sparkline. So once you click that, you don't want to get the average because that'll mess things up, but then you highlight their scores, and it gives you a little trend line, and again, double click for each of those students, so you can kind of graphically look very quickly at how that student or how individual students are doing. So, maybe you're looking down through here and all of a sudden I'll see I've got my freeze frame turned off. So now I look here and I say, wow, Stephanie Brown started out really great, but she just went downhill rapidly. That's maybe something I want to investigate. And same thing with any of this. So that's just a little piece of data that can be just a little quick visual representation that you can look at. Lastly, if you want to be a little more thorough than that, you can select some data by selecting everything and go into insert and go to chart, and then you can come in here and it's going to try to create what it thinks you want. And so I'm going to say no, I don't want a column chart. I want a what do I want here? I want a histogram, and I want you to, and then you can go in and tell it, like, I don't need grade level, I don't need student ID. And if you just don't select these things to start with, it's not going to include them. I'm going to maybe remove that, and I just want to see scores. And then you can go in the customize and tell it, I want you to do it by 5. So then it breaks things into charts, and you can get a chart to look at your data in a different way. And then perhaps I want this just in another sheet. If I click the 3 little dots and say move to your own sheet, now I have the information in here, and I can kind of see, okay, on score 2, which is test 2 for us, there were 2 people that scored between a 55 and a 60. And there, here I can see the hundreds, and here I can see 95 to 100. So, and that's just down here at the bottom. You can come back to your data this way. So the last thing I want to look at is conditional formatting. So let's say I select my data here, and I want to know when a student, I want to kind of color code this really quickly. If I go up here to format and I go to conditional formatting, I can start to set up some rules to color code this to help me out. So I can say maybe if they scored greater than a 90, I want this to be green. And you can see it starting to do this already. Now I can be done here, and that's all I'm looking for. But maybe I want to add another rule. And I want to say if they score between 75 and 89, I want it to be yellow. And then I'm going to add another rule, and I can say if they score less than 74, I want it to be red. And then I can click on done, and I can, here's my rules. So here this is 55. Oh, I messed up. Well, it's really easy. You can click on it and come back in there and fix it. And so now if they scored above a 90, it's going to be green. And if they scored between 75 and 89, it's going to be yellow. And if they scored less than 74, it's going to be red. And again, maybe I come in here and say, oh, these ones. So then you can come back. So I'm doing this kind of purposely then, so you can see like, I can go back and change it to or equal then. Value is less than or equal to. That way you can get everything. And then you just click this and you can close that. And now I have this really nice and easy color coded, and I can look and say, man, Kitty Pryde has really struggled, not where she would want to be or where we want her to be. So now we can easily tell we may want to go in and do a little bit of assistance for her. The last thing, we're going to need a different data sheet. So this is a set of table. Maybe this is you do a check for understanding at the end of each day. So you can see I have the same students kind of repeated here. And so the last thing I want to show you is if you have the data, we can go up here to insert. We go to pivot table. I'm going to tell it I want it on a new sheet. It's going to create a new sheet down here. And for rows, in this case, I want name. Columns, I want rate your understanding. Values, I want rate your understanding. I don't want it to summarize, though. I want it to count. And then I can close this because that's what I'm looking for. So now I can see real quickly from that data set how many times each student selected their understanding for the whatever it is we're working on. So that's just a few other things to help you out with Google Sheets. As usual, if you need help, feel free to reach out. Give these things a try. If you need a data set, you can ask me. I'll also attach it on the website when I put up the video, and you can make a copy of that for yourself if you need it. Thanks for your time. Have a good rest of the day.